Seems like the movie world is getting into the habit of surprising cinema fans with increasingly impactful sequel news. Knowing this, do you know all the movie sequels that absolutely nobody expected and is finally happening? Moana II. If you're a fan of Disney animations, surely you know that Moana is a historic film and one of Disney's highest rated in recent years. After the 2016 release and success, 7 years later, in early 2023, Hollywood superstar The Rock, who voiced Maui, announced that the live action was in production and he himself would be Maui on the big screen. Up until then, all was well, and the movie was scheduled for 2025. What caught everyone by surprise was that in early 2024, practically 1 year later, Disney announced that not only would they release Moana 2, but also that it would be by the end of 2024. I'll tell you, Disney is becoming an expert at bringing big news. Nobody, except for a few Mickey House insiders, knew about this, so this was undoubtedly the biggest surprise among animated movie announcements in recent years. And of course, I'm going to watch this movie. Never in history have there been so many sequels that nobody expected like in recent times. That's why we've rounded up the top 12 sequels that we had no idea would be produced, but are finally here or coming very soon. Toy Story 5. The announcement of the 5th Toy Story movie certainly was the film that divided opinions the most. Scheduled for June 2026, the new story, which we hope still involves Woody and Buzz, is considered unnecessary by many, especially after the emotional ending of Toy Story 4, which made a lot of people cry, including me. And that's why many fans were surprised by the announcement of the 5th film, as everything really seemed to have ended once and for all, and all the toys were fine in their lives. So, we beg you, dear Disney, if you're really gonna make this film, please make it really, really good. Frozen 3. Every Frozen fan knew there was plenty of room for another film in the franchise. Many of them, including me, would love to see the love story between King Agnar and Queen Iduna, who belong to the Northuldra people. But nobody expected that 3 years after the second film, Disney would announce that the continuation of Elsa and Anna's adventures were already in the works and ready to be served. The movie's story is a complete mystery, but the coolest theories suggest that Anna may finally awaken her fire power and that Elsa may finally find a romantic partner to call her own. Predicted for November 2026, the film from the Kingdom of Arendelle promises to be simply amazing, and according to the developers, the best in the Frozen franchise. Let's wait a little longer to find out if all this is really true, but I sure hope it is. Kung Fu Panda 4. After Po defeated Tai Lung, Lord Shen and Kai, everyone wondered, is there anyone who can face the Great Dragon Warrior? DreamWorks said yes, and created the Chameleon, who is simply an enemy capable of transmuting into each of these villains. And because nobody imagined there would be a villain equal to Po, who besides being a dragon warrior, is now also the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace, that's why Kung Fu Panda 4 was a completely unexpected film. And if you haven't watched the movie yet, just a small spoiler, the choice of the new dragon warrior was even more surprising, especially for me, who is Team Tigress. With the post-credit scene, there will definitely be a Kung Fu Panda 5, and the Furious 5 will be very important in it. At least, that's what we hope. And if you also want to see another Kung Fu Panda movie with the full team, comment below, #Furious5. Zootopia 2. For years, we fans have been asking, practically begging Disney to make a sequel to Zootopia, especially those of us who always shipped Nick and Judy. And when many had already lost hope, Disney comes and slaps us in the face and announces Zootopia 2. And not only that, it even gives us the release forecast, November 2025. That is, well before Toy Story 5 and Frozen 3. The story is still a closely guarded secret, but we've discovered that Sahara Square, the desert habitat of the city, will be very important. In addition, we really hope that Nick and Judy, get even closer. And, according to rumors, we might have the amazing appearance of Nick's father, whom we haven't met yet. Our guess? He must be an internationally famous thief. Take this hint, Disney. Surefire hit! Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire. If you enjoy monster brawl movies and watched Godzilla vs. Kong, you surely felt like you wanted to see more giant monsters fighting each other. At least, that's how we felt. And Warner also felt like it would be a huge chance to make a lot more money, so it decided that the MonsterVerse films of Godzilla have no end date, which means you could still be watching franchise films with your grandchildren 50 years from now. Still, the new film of the two colossal titans caught many people by surprise, especially because it was released only 3 years after Godzilla vs. Kong. Since movies like these take many years to be completed, which indicates that when the first film was released, Warner was already filming the second. Very clever of you, Warner, I have to admit. And of course, fans definitely won't miss this film. Inside Out 2. Inside Out was definitely one of the biggest and best surprises in recent years announced by Disney. After original films that didn't do too well, like Strange World and Two Brothers, nobody knew what the company's next move would be. So when they announced not one, but several sequels, we were all shocked. And the one closest to becoming a reality was an even bigger shock, which was exactly Inside Out 2. With all the trailers and information we've seen so far, the movie promises to be epic, as Riley will be older at 13 and will make new friends, and who knows, maybe even a boyfriend. Super Mario 2. Of course, everyone living on planet Earth who has played a Mario game and watched the movie knew that a sequel would happen, especially after the Super Mario movie grossed over $1 billion. But what surprised everyone was the announcement of the release date, April 2026, just 3 years after the first film. This means Illumination doesn't want to repeat the mistakes of Disney and DreamWorks, which had the habit of releasing sequels with 7 years or more between them. You can count on our support, Illumination, especially if Princess Rosalina appears in this sequel. Quick tip now, to not miss our next videos, subscribe down here. It's really worth it, for sure. Mufasa. The first thing about the Mufasa movie is that nobody ever imagined that someone within Disney would have the idea to create a new film in the Lion King franchise. And more than that the film would be a prequel. The film will be live action, and not in cartoon animation like the Lion King movies, which left a good part of the fans worried, especially those older ones who didn't really like the Lion King live action movie. I quite liked it, although I still prefer the original film released in 1994. According to the synopsis, Mufasa seems like it's going to be pretty cool, as it will tell the story of when Simba's father wasn't king and how he, as an adopted son, ended up ruling over the lands of the kingdom, and how Scar, who was named Taka, was poisoned and ended up getting his scar and became so evil. The story will be narrated by Timon and Pumbaa to Kiara, Simba and Nala's daughter. Chicken Run 2. After Aardman Studios broke the contract with DreamWorks, everyone thought they would never hear anything related to the company's most successful film again. But practically the whole world was surprised by the news given in 2018. 18 years after the first film, that Aardman was producing the sequel to Ginger and Rocky's Adventure. And even more surprising was when in 2020, Netflix announced that it had bought the rights to the plot, announcing that the name of the film would be Chicken Run 2: Dawn of the Nugget. Released in the last month of 2023, the film had a gap of 23 years between the original and the sequel, which was practically a lifetime. So whoever watched the first film undoubtedly never imagined that this day would come. But it came, and it was really cool. I really enjoyed the film. Lightyear. Speaking of prequels, perhaps even more unexpected than Mufasa was Lightyear, which told the story of the apparently real character who inspired Andy's famous Buzz toy, who became one of the protagonists, alongside Woody, of Pixar's most successful franchise, Toy Story, which we've already talked about. It was the year 2020, and Disney Pixar announced the film that left millions of fans shocked. Lightyear premiered in 2022 and caused a loss of $106 million for Disney. Perhaps this was an idea that shouldn't have been done. Maybe. Since it was, at least so far, the most poorly rated film in the Toy Story franchise. The Neverending Story. You're probably very young, and maybe if you're under 25, you won't remember the movies that aired on TV about a boy named Bastian who flew on his luck dragon in the Fantasia world. And the fantasy film series was so important, but so important that it served as inspiration for series productions that I'm sure you really enjoy, like Stranger Things. Proof of this is when Dustin and his girlfriend sing the movie's theme song. An epic reference, by the way. And exactly 40 years after the first film, and 30 years after the last, as the franchise had 3 films, in 2024, it was announced that a new series of films is being produced. Just like Toy Story, this announcement left old fans furious, and the new generation quite curious about what's to come. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And if you're a fan of animations and movies, you won't miss any of these movies that nobody expected sequels for, but have become or will become a reality very soon. Another thing you can't miss are these 2 incredible videos that we're leaving for you to check out. We've picked them exclusively for you, so enjoy!